what Satoshi worked out is how to bridge the physics realm into a digital realm.
Yes.
Like, there's no other way that we so far do, is there? There's no other way that we know of that can digitize a physical world asset, value, like energy into the digital realm. Every other way requires some sort of oracle, some sort of person that witnesses it and says, yes, it is so I'm putting it into the digital realm, tick.
Yes.
No one's figured that problem out apart from Satoshi using energy. Like, that's an interesting one. Is that true though? Is it always winner take all? Usually there's a handful of competing. Like right now we have US dollar and euro, and you know, I do think if the markets are set free, there's usually a handful. And I think that's another thing that I think maybe Bitcoiners get wrong. If we're talking about maximalism at its original sense of it, is that we believe that there's one coin to rule them all, one that's going to take up the lion's share. But actually, that in itself is not ideal. Like, you do want competing currencies because one might fail. In the fiat world or the nation state world, countries go out of power and so forth. In the digital world, there are definitely bugs that can rise and vulnerabilities, and I would like to see a world of strong competing currencies, just because that decentralizes the monetary base. If we were very centralized onto one coin, let's call it Bitcoin, we've got all our eggs in one basket if that actually fails. And people have this notion that Bitcoin's the perfect money. It's certainly got a lot of promise and certainly got a lot of the design right, but it's certainly not perfect. You know, we've seen inflation bugs rear up and they were caught in time. Thank God. There's all manner of design issues if you talk to the Cordiers that they work with, and through the decade they've fixed and improved, and so by no means is it the perfect currency. And so I'd just like to put that out there. It would be good to see strong competing fair currencies.
Renowned author Robert Kiyosaki, known for Rich Dad, Poor Dad, believes inflation affects the poor and middle class negatively because they rely on dollars. In contrast, the wealthy invest in assets like gold, silver, and Bitcoin to grow their wealth. U.S. inflation figures show a slight decrease, with September's consumer prices rising by 0.4%, down from August's 0.6%. However, the year-over-year inflation rate remains at 3.7%, and core prices, which exclude volatile costs, have risen by 4.1% from the previous year. Austin Goolsbee, president of the Chicago Fed, expressed confidence in declining inflation trends, suggesting it's not a temporary anomaly. Experts anticipate these figures won't significantly alter the Federal Reserve's outlook. Bitcoin recently experienced a price roller coaster due to fake news about a spot Bitcoin ETF SEC approval. The price briefly surged from $27,700 to $29,500 before plummeting when the news was debunked. But what if a real spot Bitcoin ETF gets approved? The reaction to the fake news suggests that a genuine spot Bitcoin ETF approval could trigger substantial price gains. However, it's important to remember that the crypto market is highly volatile, so conducting thorough research is crucial. Bitcoin's price is in a roller coaster phase. It's currently consolidating above the $28,000 support level and might gain bullish momentum if it breaks the $28,550 resistance. If Bitcoin surpasses this hurdle, it could see significant gains, potentially reaching $29,000 or even $30,000. However, if it fails to break the resistance, it might dip below $28,000. Let's continue our discussion with Willy Woo.
You think about money, I mean, Robert, you're one of the experts on this kind of deep thinking. It really is a ledger of who owns whom value. And so if you look at it historically, way back in the day, we used to use rare things like, seashells and commodities that were rare. And so these are like examples of keeping track of value using, a token. Maybe it's a lump of gold. And so all these things are in the physical realm. And so we're really relying on a scarce element. So basically atoms, chunks of matter that hopefully you find a commodity that is very, very hard to make more of. And gold was one of those, maybe silver as well. So we used matter as a form of keeping an honest ledger. And then we moved on to maybe some of the early tribes used social consensus, like, mana in New Zealand terms, effectively social respect and ranking. And in this fiat world, you could say that could be translated into political power and shaping belief and consensus to vote on who may be controlling the Fed or controlling the government, who then appoints the Fed and is in charge of the money printer. You get this sort of system where people are now trying to shape belief or social political advantage. And also you could say even a proof of stake protocol is a bit like that, because you've got this crypto project that is, trying to convince everyone that this is decentralized, that everyone has a stake in it, and behind the scenes maybe it's a few whales or the crypto founding team that has a lot of the tokens that effectively control the consensus through that proof of stake mechanism. The transactions can be overridden by enough stake in that network. So again, that social consensus. And then, if you think about Bitcoin, it is really, the consensus is based on energy. If you're going to 51% attack the Bitcoin network, you will need to control 51% of the energy. Now, energy is a pretty hard thing to control, right? If you want to control, say, 50% of the available energy, that's intrinsically tied to the technology level of the civilization. There's a very, very strong correlation. In fact, technology is driven by energy. And even for the cosmologists out there, there's the Kardashev scale, which is about how you can measure effectively the technology level of civilization from, say, the first level, I think, is really when you capture all the available energy of your planet. That's one, we're not there yet. And then all of the energy available from your star, right? And then the last one is you can capture all the available energy in your galaxy to harness it for your civilizations. So there, in terms of keeping an honest ledger, that's going to scale with the advancement of technology, whereas, say, using gold won't, because eventually you get off the planet and there's no limitation on gold as a scarce asset once you can mine, say, asteroid, and that's not far away, actually. And so on that view, it is a very defensible way of keeping a fair ledger. You could also say there's a very, very strong correlation between energy and effectively GDP. So, the whole economy runs on energy. So on one side of the equation, you have the economy, like maybe $100 trillion. And the other side of it is really the money we trade for that. And to control money and take, effectively unfair advantage of it, you would need to, if it was an energy coin like Bitcoin, you would need to control half of the world's energy. So as the GDP scales, again, your money is also very, very robust against that scaling. So ultimately, I think all advanced civilizations will need to have an energy coin. Else we're just going to go through cycles of corruption and manipulation of the money, and then we blow up and start again and again. And so I thought it was a I thought it was a relatively, I too thought it was relatively profound to stumble on there. I wasn't just the only, it was really borrowing and ripping off of other people as well to get to this conclusion. And I thought it was very profound, but actually it wasn't very well received on Twitter. Normally with something, it's like, wow, it goes off or doesn't. And certainly that one, I don't think people really saw how important that is in the long scheme of things, or how important an energy coin is to civilization.
Larry Fink, a CEO of the world's largest asset manager at BlackRock, sees the recent Bitcoin rally as an example of the pent-up interest in crypto, noting that as the Israel-Hamas war rages on, more people will be running to Bitcoin as a flight to quality. The executive emphasized, "We are hearing from clients around the world about the need for crypto." A top Federal Reserve official said Tuesday she has yet to be convinced there is a need for the U.S. central bank to develop a digital currency. SEC Chairman Gary Gensler warns AI could spark financial crisis in next decade. SEC to intensify crypto market monitoring and examinations. So there you have it, folks. Another day in the crypto world filled with ups and downs, misinformation, and a rallying Bitcoin. Stay tuned for more thrilling stories and crypto updates. And remember, keep those cryptos safe and your wits about you in this ever-exciting space. Thanks for tuning in to Crypto Chronicles. Until next time.